once you look at that, Christmas time. And you know what comes with Christmas time? Spending time with loved ones. And what's a better way to do that than to watch a movie with them, right? Some of you guys might be saying, you know, Santa Claus, Jack Frost, or Nightmare Before Christmas. But I didn't pick any of that boring bullshit. When I cuddled up with my sweetheart, I put on the most disturbing and uncomfortable movie I've seen all year. Soft and Quiet is a movie I heard about via TikTok. It was on a lot of people's like most disturbing movies I've ever seen.
Here are my top
most disturbing films I could find.
I couldn't even watch this movie without myself, dude. I couldn't even watch this movie without even wanting to turn it off. I'm not a huge fan of disturbing movies, but I've seen my fair share of them. I've seen Solo, I've seen Human Centipede, I've seen Serbian film. I've even gone a little indie and watched August Underground. Don't watch that. That's just like a bad movie. I'm not even showing footage of it. I'm showing footage of cats and puppies because this movie is literally just a film, but not real. So when I was watching one of these TikToks and I finally heard a new title, it caught my ear. Plus, this movie came out last year and it was produced by Blumhouse. Usually these disturbing movies don't get produced by anybody of note. But Blumhouse? Michael Myers was in the beginning of this movie, dude. So I knew it had to at least have some merit to its disturbing factor. And that's what really interested me about this movie. And in the artistic regard, this movie is a fucking like... It's a knockout. This movie is a one-take movie, which is very impressive to do. And while you can look at that and see it as a gimmick, the way they use it in this movie kind of feels like it fits. It feels like it makes sense. And it does enhance the experience of the movie in some respect, I guess. It kind of f***s it up in others, but you know, we'll talk about it. But what happens in the film and the topics this movie decides to discuss, that's where the disturbing factor comes in. So, trigger warning. And also spoiler warning for the whole movie, because we're gonna talk about it all, dude. Am I past the 3-minute mark? Because I'm gonna get demonetized with this one. Holy shit. Soft and Quiet is about a crime, so trigger warning, bring it all back. Come on, guys. And this movie also has an essay in it, so if you're sensitive to that kind of stuff, you might not want to watch. I'm not going to try to linger on this stuff, but it is a plot point. But before you get all up in arms about this movie, it was made by an Asian woman, and her name is Beth Raho.
Darajo.
We're just gonna call her Beth. Shout out Beth. You did a really good job. And Beth has explained in multiple interviews that the only thing she wants you to take away from this movie is the feeling it leaves you. She explains it like this. I'm pretty shy and self-conscious in public, and I don't like drawing attention to myself ever. But I've always regretted the times when I didn't speak up when I saw something wrong or when I saw an injustice. So I hope for me and anyone else like me that the film will get under our skin enough so that inevitably when we see something wrong, we'll remember this feeling and say something. This movie's goal is to show you red flags and a bunch of microaggressions, and also show how those red flags and these microaggressions are being weaponized to hurt people of color. That's at least what I get out of it. So with a little bit of context and all the warnings out of the way, let's finally get into the meat and potatoes of Soft and Quiet. The main character of this movie is named Emily. She's a school teacher. This aspect of her character was actually inspired by real life, as Beth had a teacher who she based her off of, so you know what? Fuck that teacher. Emily represents trad lives and trad wives. While this is never outright confirmed in the movie, Beth has explained in multiple interviews that she did a lot of research into alt-right movements, one of those being trad wives. But what is a trad wife? What's a trad wife, dude? What the fuck, dude? You're speaking Chinese to me, dude. A trad wife on paper might sound harmless, right? As the people in the movement rarely mention the political angle to it, they more so focus on the optics. These women are soft girls, they're subservient to the men that they marry. They're only there to have kids and take care of kids. And while this isn't bad, if you want a traditional family structure, that's perfectly fine, dude. Go do it. Where it becomes a problem is when you ask these mothers what the movement should look like and what the people inside the movement dislike. They're very Christian, you know what I mean? So they demonize gay people. They also demonize black culture in its entirety. And they also think that one should only fuck inside their race, which is lame as fuck in my opinion. This movement sprung up in the wake of like feminist culture. And while white people have been on the decline, a trad life is the exact answer to both those problems. It puts women back in the fucking kitchen, so to speak. I'm so sorry, women. And it also guarantees that the great replacement won't happen. And another sneaky part of this movement is they suggest to do what Emily does, like become a teacher. So then they are able to like invade places where people might be looking for role models. They could be there, you know, looking all prim and proper and soft girl like. This characterization of Emily basically tells you exactly who she is. She's a sociopath who hates brown people. The worst bitch to ever exist, really, let's be honest. I mention all of this because it explains why Emily is so upset in this first scene. The movie starts with Emily in a bathroom as she's taking a pregnancy test. And by the looks of it, this bitch ain't having no kids anytime soon, bro. Fucking. When you're first watching the scene without no context, you might feel bad for Emily because you assume that she really wants to take care of a kid and she really wants to like fucking love this little child or whatever the fuck. With all the context of what she believes, you now see this scene in a completely different light. She's not sad at what could have been. She's upset with herself for not being able to fulfill the role she's given herself. Her only life's purpose is to have kids and make sure that white people stay on top, and she cannot have kids. But she sucks it up and walks out of the bathroom right past a Hispanic janitor. Emily goes into the school to grab a pie, and while this is happening, we see a kid sit down and wait for his ride home. And after a beat or two, Emily sits down with him. They chit chat. Emily shows him the pie that she made and also gives him the first draft of a children's book she's writing. I'm just imagining like PragerU writing like a children's book, dude. That's fucking insane. Sharing is caring, more like sharing is woke. That's what once the kid starts reading it out loud, that Hispanic janitor lady walks back again. Obviously, she's trying to do her job, but this pisses off Emily so much. So she gets the kid to go tell like the janitor lady like when she could do her job. She frames this to the kid as standing up for himself because, you know, he was reading out loud, but like the kid didn't even fucking notice the janitor. In actuality, what Emily's trying to do is instill the idea that a white person, no matter what you're doing, what fucking profession you are, how old you are, you little white kid, you can tell a brown person what to do, when to do it. This is what we call a microaggression, which is a trigger warning for the snowflakes in the audience who are going to hear me say a microaggression and fucking start being like, dude, I stopped watching when this guy got fucking woke, dude. But as this kid is telling a full-grown adult when she can do her job, that kid's mom pulls up and Emily immediately starts just fucking lying about the janitor. She comes up with a bullshit story about like, oh, she was trying to mop right in front of him, almost got him to slip. But she explains what happened and the kid's mom is like, cool, great, you'd make a great mother. And that fucking just punches Emily in this fucking gut, dude. Just and it's one of the few times in the movie where you see Emily just kind of malfunction a little bit. Eat shit and die, Emily. I'm so happy you're not a real person. No hate to the actress who plays Emily, by the way. Stephanie Estes is her name. She seems like a pretty nice lady. You know what I mean? I don't know. That's my cap. I think I said this a little bit earlier, but this movie is a one-take movie. We watch everything happen with no cuts in real time too. Wow. So it's really cool to like see, you know, everything descend to darkness with the time. They literally had to set timers to like catch the sun and shit like that. It's crazy, dude. That's pretty epic. I like that. But back to the movie, Emily is walking to a meeting that she's having. And once we get there, it's inside of a church. So it's like, dude, what the flip? And everyone in this scene is being so normal. It's all like, hey, long time no see. Hugs are given and shit like that. It's the exact opposite of what you think when you think of like a Klans meeting, but that's by design. They're trying to make those same old, tired ideals more palatable to a modern audience. And that's exactly what this meeting is for, further illustrated by the pie that Emily made.
You know, my way of saying thank you for coming. Oh, fuck, that looks amazing.
She literally turned one of the most hateful, disgusting symbols imaginable into something palatable, which is insane, you know? Good filmmaking. Hate to see it. This is when I started picking up on this movie's odd sense of humor. There is a few dark comedic beats in some scenes, and this one's the most obvious one, as this pie looks fucked, bro. It's just falling apart, man.
Isn't that beautiful?
Oh my goodness. She worked all day and made pie. Oh my goodness.
Thank you, Alice.
Once the pie is revealed, there's only one person who reacts to it badly, and that person is named Marjorie. She was just straight up like, is this fucking real, bro? Like, hands up type beat. To which Emily is just like, dude, are you too woke to joke, bro? What the fuck? I just want to point out that moment because it leads perfectly into introducing all the other cast. So we met Emily, we're about to meet Marjorie. There's also Kim, Leslie, Alice, and Jessica. I think I counted too many times on my hand. I know it's a lot of names right now. Don't worry, we'll get around to them eventually. But for now, let's focus on Marjorie as the movie does. Marjorie was the only one that was shocked at the pie, and she also tried to dip early. Apparently she wasn't feeling the vibe or something like that. But once Emily and the group gets her talking, she is down to say, as they just fucking start sucking her clit via verbal affirmation, dude. What the fuck? You see, Marjorie was recently passed up for promotion at her job, and that promotion ended up going to a Colombian woman. Obviously, we don't know the exact situation, but they started out at about the same time, and apparently the Colombian lady has better leadership skills than Marjorie. I think Marjorie is supposed to represent the like most casual form of racist. You see this a lot with like Reddit nerds and hack comedians. The best way I can describe it is they believe they deserve better, right? They haven't worked hard for it, but they think they deserve better than a brown person. This can be instilled into somebody in a lot of ways, but I don't want to talk about all that right now. I'm going to be 100% real with you. It's 2 a.m. as I'm recording this. This person really likes early 2000 comedies and Eminem. This is the type of person who thinks companies are going woke, dude. This person really likes NF and Hobson. But Marjorie, in the grand scheme of the movie, represents how somebody with this casual form of racist can be weaponized, as all it takes is these people slobbing on her knob verbally for her to be giving a thumbs up to a white power symbol. Which again, I think perfectly captures the underlying theme of the whole scene. It's just like, this is good storytelling. Too bad I fucking hate it. As a brown person, I hate this scene, as it is just white bitches yapping about some racist bullshit. Am I right, dude? Give me some skin, brother. These ladies just play this shit so fucking well. They hit that pitch perfect Karen tone, no problem. It's genuinely just the fucking worst to hang out with these bitches. You know, I mean, I'm feeling like such a misogynist. I'm so sorry, women. But that is really what impressed me about this movie. The acting is great and the dialogue is very loaded, sometimes noticeably so. Other times it's pretty subtle. And also the staging of this movie is fucking great. Like, these people worked on choreography for the camera. And the music in this movie, while kind of basic, is still pretty cool. It really puts you exactly into the headspace of Emily, where the music will fade in and out according to what's happening in her head, which is pretty rad in my opinion. Getting back to the movie, let's meet everyone else and also talk about what I think they're supposed to represent. In addition to Emily and Marjorie, we meet Kim, who's a mother and a failed journalist turned failed store owner. Kim represents somebody who blames all of their own shortcomings on POC, as she believes the media is run by Jews, which I know are not people of color, but you know, still minorities. So it couldn't have been that she just wasn't good at journalism. No. It's because she's white. It's because she's white, actually. In addition to that massive L in her life, she blames her store failing on like Mexicans stealing, which, like, shut the fuck up, Kim, okay? Moving along, we also meet Leslie, who I think is one of the more, like, forgivable characters in the movie, but she's also the worst. I'll explain as it goes on. But the way she talks in this scene, you kind of get the vibe that she is just somebody who's lost. She needs a structure in her life, and she's not able to provide that to herself. And this need for a structure leads her to put her trust in people who might not have her best interest at heart. Like, Leslie might not be a racist herself, but as soon as these racist women let her in and offered her that same structure and that same sense of community, she is willing to die for these people. Leslie is also the only person who's served jail time in this room, by the way. We also meet the last 2 ladies who aren't going to be here for too long, so we can kind of speed run through. We'll start with Alice. I think Alice is supposed to represent the person who's well off, as her and Jessica are the only 2 who don't mention money problems and also look like they come from like white collar job households. She's basically living the dream that Emily wants. She is a trad wife, but with that traditional structure and that focus on only having kids and that's the only thing you're allowed to do.
I spend a lot of my time alone in my own thoughts. We're really not supposed to live like that.
And this is what kind of makes her racist, as she wants a social life through community, and if that community is white supremacy, you know, fuck them. They did BLMs, they already separated from us, so like, fuck them, you know what I mean? And that's kind of her attitude towards it. Last but not least, we meet Jessica, who Emily really wanted to join the meeting, and this is because she is the daughter of a Klansman. Apparently Jessica's dad was the chapter president of the KKK in Valentine, Nebraska, and she also has experience with Stormfront, which is white supremacy Reddit. She's one of the more silly ones, as she like believes that the media misrepresents white supremacy, which is like crazy.
You know, the media loves to portray us as these like big scary monsters, but am I really that scary?
She represents someone who was born into the ideology. Obviously, someone who was born and raised around white supremacy isn't going to see it as a bad thing. When your uncle is a racist, you're not going to assume all racists are bad off the bat, you know what I mean? Which is stupid, but you know, whatever. As a brown person, racist people are kind of bad. So now that we know the faces and what they're supposed to represent, let's talk about what they're meeting for. This is the first meeting of the Daughters for Aryan Unity, a name that rings a pretty yucky bell because it sounds like a millennial version of the Daughters of the Confederacy. Like, bro, they really stole like bar for bar. Like, come on, you couldn't be more creative. Again, it's very symbolic of what they're trying to do, as they are planning to make a magazine where they drip feed their ideals in like little fucked up Easter eggs.
Soft on the outside, so vigorous ideas can be digested more easily. Now we are the best secret weapon that no one checks at the door, because we tread quietly.
They also plan on introducing these concepts into their community. How are they going to do that? Well, they're just going to go to yoga class, and while you're in your downward dog, they're going to tell you about how like black and brown people are like the fucking worst or something. I don't know. While these terrible women plot and scheme ways to sneak Nazi ideologies into children books, and also how to keep tabs on all the brown people in their area, the pastor of the church that they've been having this meeting in walks in on them, and he overhears Alice probably saying the most damning piece of evidence ever.
I don't know where this fits into everything, but I think it's important to scold the sick and African parents in front of their kids.
This causes the pastor to softly and quietly tell them to get the fuck out of there, dude. This moment is followed by the music creeping back in as Emily like kind of malfunctions, but that's only a moment as she collects herself and comes up with a lie to tell the group. That lie being, wine at my place, guys. And this is where Jessica and Alice dip out, and another admittedly funny scene happens as Emily just snaps at Marjorie.
Do it again.
I mean, I'm game. You sound like an ape when you speak like that.
Wow, man.
Emily, Marjorie, and Leslie all pack into Kim's van and go to the store that Kim owns to pick up some wine for the party. Leslie takes this time to befriend Emily and compliment the fuck out of her, which Emily just eats up, as this bitch's self-worth is at an all-time zero. Just like a few moments earlier, she was talking about how she was gonna fucking herself.
Thanks for inviting me. It actually was kind of cool.
Oh, well, it was either this or myself. Kim, are you
It's just like, it's so obvious that all these people are fucking lonely. Once they get into the store and go looking around, two Asian women walk in, and Emily ducks to hide from them. But the two Asian women are named Anne and Lily, and they're just here to pick up a bottle of wine, literally doing the same thing that Emily's doing. But Kim tells them that they're closed, which, to be fair, I guess they were close, yeah, I guess. And this causes Anne to offer to like buy the most expensive bottle of wine just to get something out of the store. But Kim says no, and then the rest of the group just starts insulting them. And this keeps going on until Lily, the little sister to Anne, she calls Kim a cunt. And once this happens, Emily comes out of hiding. As soon as Anne sees Emily, she wants to leave because Emily is the sister to Jeff, the man who and Jeff is in jail seemingly because of this. And this was shown earlier as Emily declines a call from jail from Jeff. And we're gonna go into my headcanon right now, but I think that Emily believes that Jeff did this. Like, this isn't something out of character for this guy. Like, otherwise, why wouldn't she answer the call earlier? What else would make a room full of racist white women shut the fuck up at the mere mention of it?
How did you learn how to draw like this?
My brother. Yeah, he's the real talent.
But enough of my speculation, let's get back to the scene. Emily brings up the fact that Anne was gonna buy the most expensive bottle. So Anne, being the boss bitch that she is, goes and picks up a bottle and smacks it on the counter, which Emily prices at $300. To which Anne smacks it down, bro. And then she just tries to go home. But Marjorie has been blocking the door the whole time, and everyone just starts fucking insulting them. And the verbal fight escalates as Marjorie pushes Anne. And this causes Lily to fucking jump in there and just start fucking going at Marjorie. But just before a fight breaks out, Kim brings out the knife and gets them to leave. Not before Lily reminds Emily what they do to rapists in prison.
He's never gonna be able to take a solid shit again!
Fuck you!
Holy fucking shit!
And this insult just makes Emily malfunction once more, brothers. And then the score creeps back in. It's just good stuff, good stuff. But just as this happens, Craig, Emily's husband, steps in. And immediately all the women start deflecting all wrongdoing onto Anne and Lily. And this is another instance in this movie where white people just fucking outright lie about people of color. And it's very reminiscent of the Amy Cooper video.
So the Amy Cooper video was this horrific video where this woman called the cops and lied about being threatened by a black man in Central Park who was just bird watching. And it just brought up all of these feelings. And I remembered so many things that had happened in my life. And I just started writing the next day.
This is like the second or third time it happened in the movie. And it's not going to be the last, but it's insane seeing these women just so confidently lie to harm a person of color. It's just disappointing. But when Craig comes in, he doesn't really pay mind to any of the women. He only pays attention to Emily, and he tries to comfort her as he knows, you know, what's been going on between them. And he tries to get Emily to just come home and like call it a day. But that doesn't fly too well as these women are just fucking frothing at the mouth to do a hate crime, basically. And they come up with a plan to escalate this further. They disguise it as a prank. They say that they're just gonna shit in her bathtub or, you know, light her passport on fire or something like that. But to do any of that stuff, you have to break into Anne's house first. And that's what they're trying to do. And Craig immediately does not like this. He just tries to get Emily to not do this, but Emily just emasculates the hell out of him, calling him a little pussy.
Do you want me to look at you like a fucking babe? No, you don't.
And she just keeps doing this until he goes along with it. Under one stipulation though, that it will only be 5 minutes. I think Craig, by the way that he dresses and his demeanor throughout the whole movie, he's a representation of the person who just goes along with it, right? I like that he looks like a blue collar guy because most people who work blue collar jobs have to work alongside minorities. And by the look of it, he's not pissed off by that fact. And he's not mad at his blue collar nature either. Unlike Emily, who is dressed in an all white prim and proper fucking fit, dude. Emily is trying to act above a person of color at all times, and Craig is just a normal guy. But anyways, back to the movie. They all pack into the minivan of hate, I guess. They start jamming out to some royalty-free dubstep, dude. Like, what's up, dude? This shit's so fucking good. Another beat of comedy plays out as Craig is making sure that everyone knows the 5-minute timer.
I'm sorry, but I have a question.
Just pull it up here and kill the engine.
If she isn't even home, why do we only have to be 5 minutes?
A good idea.
This scene just makes me giggle a little bit. I don't know. It's funny. He's so fucking deadpan. But anyway, they trek up to the house and get inside of it. Once they get into the house, Marjorie starts just playing on the piano, and this is what scores the scene. And I really like it because, again, it mirrors what they're doing in the scene. They're just kind of walking around this bitch's house. But after a little bit of that, Kim goes to look for Anne's passport, and they end up finding it, and she brings it downstairs, and they try to light it, but Anne and Lily pull up. Once Anne opens the door, everyone like ducks out of the way, and Anne is like the smartest lady to ever exist. It was earlier set up that she has a dog, and Anne calls out for that dog and waits for the dog to come to her, but when the dog doesn't come, she immediately nopes the fuck out of there. And this is something that I really like about Anne. She's really smart, but it hurts too, you know what I mean? Because no matter how smart Anne was, no matter how unavoidant she was, or even when she does exactly what they want her to do, nothing could have changed what was going to happen that night. But when Anne doesn't come in, Emily makes Craig go after her. And when Craig is bringing Anne into the house, he like reassures her that like, oh, it's just a prank, it's just a prank. But it comes off less as him trying to like reassure her and more as him trying to like convince himself that this is all still a prank. And once Anne's back in the house, they start tying her up to a chair. Craig tells everyone to get the fuck out of there, and he tries to just fucking leave them, but then he bumps into Lily and he has to bring Lily back in this another beat of dark comedy as he's just trying to be like, it's a prank, I'll explain. After Craig brings Lily in, he has to go collect himself, and Emily tries to suck him back in, and he just doesn't care and just leaves without them. After Craig's exit, the ladies leave the house to make a new plan. Leslie comes up with the idea to just scare the living shit out of them, right? Ideally, they won't tell anyone, plus they'll clean up after themselves. And Kim's good with the local police or something like that, so like even if they try to come forward, they'll just deny. With the new plan figured out, they head right back in. Kim has both of these women at gunpoint, which I think is really funny because she's holding it from like a defensive position. It's like, bitch, both of these people are tied down. Do you really think that they're like as dangerous as they were 5 minutes ago. By this point, Marjorie is just getting fucked up. Emily's like fanning them off, and Leslie is just amping everything up to a 10. Anne starts asking Emily by name to let Lily go as they untape her mouth to like use her Face ID. Seeing that Anne is like a good older sister, Leslie uses this as a chance to get the prank started, as the whole group starts cramming trail mix into Lily's mouth. Along with this, they start putting mayo in the girls' hair, and they start making them drink Fireball, which I'm pretty sure is like the third ring of hell in Dante's Inferno. As all this is going down, Anne is panicking as Lily starts wheezing. Turns out Lily is allergic to peanuts, and there was a lot of peanuts in that trail mix. The group doesn't even realize this until Lily is on the floor and starts foaming. They take the tape off Anne as she starts begging for them to go get the EpiPen that's in her room. But this plea lands on deaf ears as nobody goes to do it in a timely manner, as Leslie ends up going, but she doesn't even care enough to even try it on her. And this is where everything really goes to shit. And these women have no choice but to finish the night, you know what I mean? And this whole time, Kim has just been pointing the gun at both of sisters, even though they're just like on the floor at this point. And she starts like blaming them.
She fucking resisted. She fought back. It would have been easier for her if she just acted fucking cool. Have some respect.
Emily and Leslie end up getting into a fight, and this is when the sound completely leaves the movie for a bit. I think this is here to show that Emily's trying to clear her mind, as she is just fucking locked looking at this fucking view at this point. But we watch as she snaps right back into her manipulative self, and then she tells everyone to put on gloves. They start cleaning up as Leslie comes up with a great idea. No cop would assume a group of women broke into a woman's house and murdered her. And so they all just like kind of agree to go with it. It's a very fucked up scene, but it wasn't very graphically shot, as we don't see it happen on screen, thankfully. It also happens with a carrot, which gross. As the assault is happening, we see everyone's reaction to it, everyone except Emily. This scene is very hard to watch, not only because of the act itself, but also because of the implication that like this woman did nothing wrong but try to stand up for herself. She even did everything right, trying to de-escalate everything, and she still ended up right here. It's just fucked up, you know what I mean? Like, she lost her parents, that's why she got like the house that she's living in, and now she literally lost her sister right in front of her. But after it happens, Emily goes up to Leslie and tries to manipulate her into finishing the night, but Leslie turns the tables on Emily, saying that if she does this for her, she will model clothes for Leslie. It was established earlier in the movie that Leslie wanted to like make a clothing like online store. Emily agrees, and Leslie kills Anne. The women freak out, and Emily does her thing by getting everyone to do her dirty work. Leslie and Kim put the sisters' bodies into bags, and Emily gives Marjorie cans to fill those bags with. The plan is now to dump these bodies into a river. They all pack back into Kim's minivan. Leslie and Emily fight about what to do with the bodies, but the fight really doesn't go anywhere, as Kim drives to a pier that she has a boat at, I guess. This is like the last 15 minutes of the movie. Not much happens. The movie kind of ends after the assault. They couldn't have hard cuts now, I get it. But during the scene where Emily and Leslie are arguing, the camera focuses on the body bag as we start seeing movement come from behind the bag. But the whole gang gets to the lake and takes the bodies onto Kim's boat, and Emily and Leslie are the ones who paddle it out into the middle of the river. They fight for a little bit and then dump the bodies overboard. The movie stays focused on the water as the women leave the frame, and Anne pops out. And that's the end of Soft and Quiet. Was it disturbing? Yes. Guess who sucks at explaining himself? Despite its disturbing factor, I do think this movie is somewhat worth a watch, if you could stomach it, obviously. There is a lot to appreciate about this movie's score, about the cinematography and the directing, along with the acting. But have you guys seen this movie? What's some other disturbing movies you think I should watch? Tell me in the comments down below. And I don't know, follow my Twitch or something. I don't fucking know. Hopefully you have a nice night. Goodbye, 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 goodbye.